But now we got the best of the best going up against one another, ladies and gentlemen. Team Falcons representing MENA. They're 2-0. They might just be Swiss mergers at the moment, going up against G2 Stride, the best from North America. One of these teams can only come out victorious, Gibbs.
Well, the Falcons have already taken down the best of Europe, so why can't they take down the best of North America? Falcons look fantastic. Last time we were in London, they made it all the way to a grand finals. The org wants to do it again here, and honestly, this is a coin flip, Shogun.
Yeah, when it comes to the Falcons, they really can just run teams over when they're on the field, but it has always sort of been their MO. They go in and they either blow their opponents out of the water or they get stuck, and things just fall apart very quickly for this team.
Best team of North America, G2. They have made it to every grand finals this season. They have been eligible for an unprecedented run in the history of the RLCS, especially in the open era since we started playing these formats, trying to make it 8 for 8 here in London.
They sure are trying to make it 8 for 8, and they're already playing better than they did in Copenhagen. Copenhagen had a couple little hiccups over there in Swiss, but now they're starting off strong 2-0. Some would say they've had a little bit of a Mickey run, but listen, you can only play who's in front of you. This team is arguably one of the greatest, if not the greatest talent collection. I don't know what you want to call it.
I feel like it is that midfield game of when you are on defense, you have to use your 1v1 abilities to get out of that pressure. G2's gonna pressure all the time, so Falcons have to get out of defense quickly.
Okay, in midfield, the key to victory here for the Falcons. We are split on the desk, and as split as can possibly be in the chat. You guys know this one is gonna be a great one. Let's get into it. Final match of round 3, and maybe this is a preview of the grand finals. We say it every time these teams are on the pitch. G2 trying to make it to their 8th grand final of the season. Gotta take down the Falcons here. Let's get into it.
#1 teams from their respective regions about to face off in what in another universe could only be described as a grand final. This is arguably one of the most insane matchups we could be getting today, Jorby.
Oh man, we've been building this one up, and well, every time we try to build this up, usually it delivers, and I am more than excited for it. Falcons, one of the best teams in the world, coming from the Middle East, against G2, the best team in North America, almost encapsulating an incredible season with a major win last time in Copenhagen. Didn't work out for them. And G2 haven't really been tested in Swiss so far. They've played against Power and Gladiators. Falcons not been the same. Des talked about it. They had to take down BDS, who a lot of the talent have winning the entire event. But we'll see, because G2 are a force to be reckoned with as this game is underway. First 30 seconds, not a ton for either team just yet.
Yeah, not too much going on, although Falcons are trying to make the most of what they can with the few opportunities they've had. Far and few between, though, in this first 45 seconds. A demo finally coming out. You see Killers going up. It's a pass and play to break past the defense. Falcons already around G2.
Love Killers faking the touch, going for the demo, and you saw Daniel, he got warped by Killers. Only taking out one player, but you don't always have to hit the player. You just got to get him to hit the brakes. Daniel had no boost, no way he could recover off it. Beautiful job from Killers opening the space.
And I already had decided I felt like this game 1 was actually going to be a lot more telling of what the series would look like compared to most series. A lot of the times you feel that game 1 is a bit of a warm-up, but both of these teams are, I feel like it is fair to say, they come in with the energy they want to keep for the rest of the game, and that is exactly what they are doing.
Yeah, Killers, he's got all the energy right now. That first touch baits in beast mode to challenge it. Killers doesn't go for the challenge, goes up the wall, pops it right over him, and Killers is all over the place in the first minute.
I talked about this yesterday too. I felt, you know, Killers and Ruas, although as incredible as they are on offense, the moment TRK starts to get extremely involved is when this Falcons roster starts to become so much more difficult to hold back. You see him lurking in the mid there, prepped and ready to go. Great win on the 50 off the backboard, but Atomic takes it for the clear. The cheat up attempt to turn this into a play for G2, not quite what they want. Bumped off for their efforts in 3:25. Falcons holding this up 2-0, potentially 3-0, but this one's sent off.
TRK just stuffed the ball, and it was again a Killer's push that totally stuffed G2's rotation. Atomic boostless. Daniel able to get back to the ball, feathering on the catch. Falcons, great job when you got Killers playing first man like he is. G2 constantly on their back wheel. Atomic with a full tank. That's a heavy touch. Easily challenged by Roas. Falling down. Leaves the double. Killers puts it in. Falcons all over G2.
Falcons know what the plan is. That is work together in teams of 2 to break away around the G2 defense. And unfortunately, this is the second time they've caught Daniel. Not caught Daniel off guard. They forced him to become off guard.
Oh, it was Atomic's heavy touch too. Opened up that gap for Roas. And then Roas again, it's not just the move, like Atomic gives up the touch, whatever. G2 are able to get back. Roas still has to make a play, so what does he do? Fake the double, get it to the twin, no problem.
The Twinner G coming out once again. Game number 1, 3 unanswered goals for G2. Looking to close that gap. Beast mode trying to drive this one forward, but Ruas, easy catch off the backboard. Flip reset to pass over to Killers. He's just gonna try and slowly roll it up.
Jeez.
He meets that one up in the air, off the ceiling, and G2, they just can't keep control of this ball.
I mean, he left the ball. Nobody from Falcons was ready for it. Roas was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. He tried to recorrect himself. Killers was like, fine, I got the midfield boost. Look, I read that touch. No problem. It doesn't really matter what Falcons are doing. They're winning every touch right now. G2 have no answer. Beast mode, TRK just crashes right into him. Roas faster, Roas down, and Atomic pops it over Killers. Man, what an opening statement from Falcons. G2 have these 2 minutes to really get things figured out. And Daniel tried to find a way to pluck TRK off the wall, but the touch quality's not there right now for G2.
I will say there are some solid bumps starting to come through from G2. There's another attempt at one right now. And so there's a level of aggression that G2 are trying to put on field to force an open opportunity here. Not the quickest touch from Daniel to get down, but again, in the back, you're seeing these bumps come through. This could be a floater, a force shot on through, not quite in. Another to clean it up, and it does. Beast mode puts G2 on the board.
I mean, you called it perfectly, Herc. You saw those bumps coming through. TRK got Goomba stomped, and that you didn't see that on the replay, but right when it happened, then G2 started the press. Daniel faked the first touch. Atomic went up. Beast mode comes in on the reset, dropped it down, and Roas had to come back to defend the shot because it was coming in hot, and he had to wrap around quickly with speed. That's a tough touch to make at that speed, trying to get back on defense, and Beast mode just pops right around him and puts it in. There's the G2 we were all expecting to show up, trying to respond to this Falcons team.
It's a faster G2, which is what they want. I feel like G2 plays a lot more clinical when they're at the speed that they demand, but Falcons on the flip side of things here, forcing their own pace of play to stay clean. Still a 2-goal lead for themselves. Atomic over to Daniel. Daniel gonna take this to the ceiling, back down to himself. He did have enough space, but still, Ruas does a great job of anticipating where G2's second touches go, and it's an easy collect and an attempt out to transition.
Fully confident on defense to receive that, but he just dropped the ball. Beast mode, top shelf. This game is not over.
Beast mode is the player everyone has been waiting to see wake up. He is the offensive monster of NA, and dear Lord, that placement could not have been any closer.
Killers has to be so upset because he's like, dude, the one touch that gets like an inch away from me, you're gonna upper 90 that? Are you serious? And now it's a question mark. Our Falcons came out with authority to start this game. Everything they were doing was working. The G2, the ship is finally steady, but a little hopeful on the rotation, and you better get punished for that. Roas will score.
Look at this one. So you saw Falcons just kind of lurking a little bit in the mid, but that bounced 50, and Ruas just immediately turns around, says, no, I'm gonna force the challenge through, places it back left, and then makes G2 too awkward to make the save. 17 seconds, though, to hold on to this ball. Maybe they can extend this lead here, but it might be too little too late.
I question the aggressive positioning there from Atomic and Beast mode. Both of them trying to play Daniel's 50, and then they end up getting burned for it. If Daniel does get that 50, maybe they can play it. They took the risk. Killers just doing whatever he wanted in those first few minutes. They were able to settle down, find those touches, and actually take the space. Atomic didn't give up a free touch. And as long as G2, again, sometimes it's simple, Herc, it's just secure the ball.
Yeah.
Because especially in a lobby like this, what happens when you don't secure the ball a couple inches away from you? Killers doesn't, Beast mode top shelf. Atomic loses it, Roas double tap fake for Killers, easy goal. That is the margins in this lobby. It is so thin. You have to be perfect on your touches. No one is going to let you get away with it.
Yeah, everything's just got to come down to being as clinical with your game plan as possible. I mean, we've seen G2 do it what feels like a million times now against everyone in NA. And then, of course, on the flip side of things, Falcons on LAN have done that to what feels like everyone. It has taken the absolute top dogs of the world to stop this team from becoming a monster. And now they're coming into London going, you know what, if we can take G2 down, things start to look a lot more plausible going up against the Vitalities and the BDSs of London.
You know, TRK, the only remaining member of the last Falcons team that were at the second Landon, a team that made the grand finals, but they just roll up the next talents in the Middle East and just keep on rolling. You grab the twins, and TRK happy to just watch Ross Killers do their thing. Now, you gotta have all three of your units on point. I loved G2's physical game as well near the end there, really forcing Falcons off their mark. Not always the option to go for the physical game. Sometimes in a position, it just depends where the ball is. Do you just shoot? Where are they sitting? Awareness, name of the game, always is. We have a slight pause, and we thank you all for your patience. It's such a fast series, okay? I think we're so fast, Ethernet cable's getting ripped out somehow through the digital ether. That's not actually what happened. Don't take my word for that. I'm just soliloquying, as T-Bates would say.
Soliloquy, I love it. All right, new words every day of this weekend. I've learned a couple interesting
Soliloquying is not a word, is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Queeing, it's just soliloquy.
I don't know. Shout out to the guy on Twitter, though, that DM'd me and let me know it was last ditch efforts and not last stitch efforts.
Well, it
So-
depends. You know, if you have a gash on your leg,
Yeah, then it's
like,
your
you need a
last
last-ditch effort to,
to put you back together.
and there's an important artery down there, so technically you might be correct. If you ask Gibbs, that's the best kind of correct.
Yeah. Well,
Falcons and G2. G2 got to the grand finals against Gentlemates. Talked about how they haven't really been challenged just yet. Beast Mode was scoring tons of goals against Power. Against Gladiators earlier on, it wasn't as clean. But since then, I mean, when you get up to the pace of play, Rocket League is such a matchup-oriented game at the top. And sometimes the team might trip you up when they don't do something when they do something you don't expect. But we'll see. I think it really was simple issues for G2 at the start, giving up the ball. Doesn't get more complicated than that. The Falcons, with the Middle East,
they've looked
been tough to get up there. You know, all the conversation right now over on the other stream, we have Vitality versus Furia.
That is an insane matchup. I do got to give credit to Fury. I think both you and I, after seeing what they were capable of yesterday, felt like they've got the power. Jorby's always knew. I'm slowly getting on the Furia train.
No one believes just yet because it's Swiss. You know, and that's fair. That's fair. You know, Fury are Swiss merchants. I don't know how the series is going right now. Don't spoil me.
Yeah,
I don't want to know.
Spoil it.
All right, I gotta focus over here. But just to talk about South America and the Middle East, it has been such a breath of fresh air to this esport, and having two teams that feel like they can contend for a title with the best teams in the world. Right, Falcons beating one of the best European teams that we have. Furia being able to do the same thing, shut out Gentlemates for 10 minutes, and seeing players and teams from all around the world be able to step up. It's not just an NA versus EU conversation.
Exactly.
I think Mina versus Sam is a little bit more fun of a conversation to have lately.
I think it's a fun conversation. It would be an insane matchup on LAN, but I think it's like you said, for those of you longtime fans, right? For years, it has been NA versus EU, and now teams are coming in from Mina, stepping up to the plate, looking like they can take down the monstrosities like the G2s of the world. And well, they're in an attempt to do so with a one-game win in the series on the board.
This would be one of the most impressive Swiss runs by any team if Falcons not just take down BDS, one of the favorites to win the tournament, but also the other favorite to win the tournament in G2. They had a great start, but G2 had an answer. Oh, we barely got the save. It doesn't matter. Killers is there, and Falcons pick up right where they left off.
Falcons doing exactly what we've seen in the past, forcing the touches through. This one almost went out with Atomic's touch. But again, what Falcons have been so consistent at is following each other up, whether that ball might not go in. Somebody is there just in case, and that is what keeps them so consistent.
Beast Mode saw an opening, couldn't beat TRK to it. He got a perfect catch out to Rawas, who dumps it out. A mid-air pass to Kaliers on the reset. The aerial acrobats finding a way through. Beast Mode only looking for the bump, but it opened up the space for Rawas. He cuts off the clear angle and goes for the dunk. He knew that G2 were coming on the right side, so he blocks off the path, orients his car. There's no way Daniel was getting that ball out.
This is what I'm talking about. Falcons are just too consistent. It's the placement of the cars. It's the pass in place to each other. Everything is so connected and clinical with their ideas to get past G2. And now, only a minute into this, G2 already at a 2-goal deficit, trying to find some sort of an answer.
Ended up being a dead play there. TRK just didn't have enough in the tank. Killers has been such a force so far. He'll get the catch. Not a catch, actually. He just booms it downfield. Ross forced to do that as he has to collect the midfield boost. Heavy touch from Beast Mode again. Where's the touch quality from G2? This simply cannot keep happening if they want to get out of Swiss in 3 games. This drops it down in Beast Mode. That one a little more understandable. You're expecting it to come down. But G2 really struggling to get a hold of the ball. Falcons are doing what they want right now.
And I do gotta admit, Daniel playing a little bit more passively than we've seen in the past is probably not where G2 wants to be right now.
Oh, when your touches aren't working out, you lose that confidence, right?
Exactly.
So you can't take that aggressive position. Beast Mode can't be all over the pitch like we watched him do this split in North America.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's a confidence thing right now, and it's Falcons forcing them to be uncomfortable, which is something G2 isn't quite used to. Also, another pause is going to come through. We'll come back in just a few short moments, but this might be a good thing for G2, a quick second to breathe.
I think it might depend on what's going on.
Yeah, that is a huge factor in what just went down.
We'll see what's going on right now, but yeah, we had an extended pause between game 1 and 2. And a pause called here. Not sure who called the pause. If we get that information, we will relay that to you guys. But according to production, we will not be too long. So you don't have to sit on your hands too much. You know, why don't you get up real quick, grab those pretzels. You know, grab some chips. Or don't go too far, though, because it's not going to be too long. Plug that controller in. There you go.
So from what I'm hearing, it was a controller issue. And, well, I don't know how comfortable someone would be throwing themselves on keyboard in this situation.
And on Falcon's side, too. So
yeah, which
not
is
something G2 fans out there can have their copium on. It's like, oh, we had controllers.
I mean, I'm sure everybody brings the backup controllers or the backup cords or something like that, but you know you want to play with your original right now. Everyone just kind of sitting and waiting. The good thing is they don't look too upset, so it is still comfortable.
That's the hardest part about these tech pauses. I've talked to players and coaches before about having to sit through these, and it's anxiety-inducing because you just want to get back in, especially if you're winning and things technically are going wrong on your end, like a control, like for Falcons right now. Like you have the rhythm, you have the momentum, and these little things that sometimes are out of your control are preventing you from being able to keep that rhythm. And so you might be right, Herc, that maybe G2. This is exactly what they needed, but I just need to see the simple mechanics have to be better from G2. Their touch quality when they have space. That's the thing. Some of these touches, they're not even getting pressured by Falcons, exchanging them courts.
That's what I was wondering. I was like, did they bring a backup cord? Of course they did. Lovely coach over here, making sure he's got a new one, which means we should hopefully be getting back into this matchup very quickly, especially. You get a fresh cord off this one. A lot of
USB-C, lightning speed.
Wrapped around with threads. Well, if you missed it and you're just now tuning in, Falcons versus G2. Falcons took game number 1 in this best of 5, and currently at just under 3 minutes, Falcons are up 2-0. So G2 not looking as hot as most NA fans would be hoping.
Our Killers is like the sun at the center of our solar system. The dude is on fire right now. I have been so impressed. Even when he's been tasked with buying time, he's always had enough in the tank to just wrap around. He beats that the first challenger to the ball and then buys his team time to go get their boost. And TRK, I mean, his name hasn't really been called that often when it comes to the space giving plays, but He closes down space quickly. He's able to challenge the ball with authority. And it really just comes down to the same things. I feel like I'm a broken record when I say it, but I genuinely believe they won't have as much success if G2 just play better. And that sounds so stupid, but like sometimes Rocket League is stupid and you just need to hit the ball well. And that's all G2 have to do. And then there's a lot more steps they have to take beyond that, but you can't give Falcons this much leeway.
I absolutely agree. I think right now, with the way G2's been playing, Falcons just
That's a great shot.
way.
Oh, he's gone.
You guys aren't able to see what we see. It's where people are
Oh, you're right.
paused.
I did that. My bad.
Where people are paused, they're like halfway up in the air. Daniel's like 2 inches off the ground.
It's like what was the post-game screen when it freezes and you're like mid-twirl? That's what Daniel looked like. None of you could see it, but look, you can look at Daniel right there. Got the RLCS cap on.
Which you guys could get
2001
here
haircut.
tomorrow. I believe that hat's going to be a merch shop. So
Oh, is it?
I believe so.
Oh, very cool. I have one.
I got one too.
It's a cool cap.
We can all twin, guys. Also, the 2001 hair reference is insane. I've been seeing Daniel doing the Bieber hair flip all day.
The Beaver's a few years after 2001. But hey, it all starts to become the same the farther you get away from it, right? G2
goodness.
and Falcons underway again. And hopefully no more technical pauses. We get to the halfway mark of game number 2. The name of the game is simple for G2. Protect the ball. Beast mode rolls around. Killers getting around that first touch. Atomic to dump pass. Daniel is playing deeper back. He was ready for this counterattack. Good position.
Great positioning off that one from Daniel, the one player that the Falcons have been able to force off guard, get past him quite a number of times. Starting to clean things up here. Ruas, great positioning. Atomic, greater save. And here comes Killers trying to focus one down from himself. Reset to attempt the shot, but Atomic remains strong.
That's why Clears has wings on his car.
He's different.
Or a gyroscope or something. I don't know, but how is he able to just feather his way around so cleanly in the air and still get a decent opportunity off that flip reset? Continues to impress.
His control genuinely is otherworldly. I don't know if it's considered a hot take or not, but his control, quite literally, in my opinion, is up there with Zen.
I think a lot of people are on that. I mean, you know, a lot of people in the community also backing Falcons in this event, thanks to the Twins and how effective they are. Killers taking front and center stage for the team, and TRK will take front and center stage on the ball. Roas going, leaves that double. He didn't really have a follow-up touch, but Clears avoids the bump, bumps Daniel out. Will force Atomic to have to make the clear, but he went for a heavy touch. Following it up, though, was the more important part. TRK keeps it away. Beast mode read the touch. And G2 doing a lot better here, reading the push from Falcons.
They're also doing a lot better with how quickly these challenges are starting to come through. You saw Beast mode already up, anticipating the shot opportunity. 1 minute left to go. Atomic back to the backboard. Ruas has it read. Beast mode going to keep this one in favor of G2. Around the corner, Atomic over to Daniel. Daniel shot off target. And Atomic and G2 work together to keep that pressure in their favor.
There's really nowhere for Daniel to go, but the bounce was a little risky because Atomic had to go chase it down. Beast mode didn't have any boost and needed some time. But Atomic was able to get back. Still a little risk attached to it. He's got no boost now. Will do his best to give this ball to Daniel. Killers is ready for it.
30 seconds left. G2 gotta score here. You gotta start to catch up. Otherwise, Falcons could be headed to match point. And attempting to hand G2 their first loss in the Swiss. 12 left on the clock. Atomic up to the mid. TRK has it read and cleared. And for now, Team Falcons can hold on to their wins in the Swiss stages. This one hits the ground. Falcons go up 2-0.
Has to be a really frustrating game for G2. Not only, you know, Falcons having to contend with keeping their rhythm during those tech pauses, but G2 also clearly not feeling confident right now, doing their best to try to create space. But once the touch quality gets better, now you have to contend with second and third man on Falcons. Now you have to start reading those touches, and they couldn't break down the defense. That play in particular where Beast Mode and Atomic were in the corner, Atomic got the leave back to Daniel, and Atomic was coming back. Daniel just ripped the ball off the ramp, and then Atomic had to buy time. It was a completely chopped up play. Beast Mode had no boost, and Daniel wasn't able to protect the ball or really buy time for G2 to get set in that scenario. So those kind of breakdowns now that, well, you know, step 1 is getting better in the awareness, step 2 and 3 have to follow suit for G2, but that definitely has to be a frustrating game, one that got chopped up a couple of times.
I mean, you know what? There's a first for everything. G2 very rarely has been put in a position where their backs are against a wall and they got to attempt a reverse sweep against a team that honestly completely matches their caliber. And I'm sure that
they're
that
exceeding
is
it right now.
Yeah, it's completely exceeded in all fairness. You know, you want to be respectful to what you're seeing, but it is in truth, Falcons are just outplaying G2. And it's something we've seen in the past. I will say the fact that yesterday SSG did take Falcons all the way to Game 5, which felt a little interesting, and you would think G2 would be able to do the same, but again, it is coming down to forced confidence issues, although after a save like that, you gotta be feeling a little good about yourself.
One save, G2 would love to play that high-flying, aggressive offense that they're known for. Part of their mark as a team, their identity. They haven't been able to play that game. Daniel just trying to go for a bump again. That's a couple times G2 have really played that. Go for the touch, immediately follow up with a demo, and the last 2 times they've done it, Falcons are ready for it. Avoided him twice. Killer's last game at the end, he did it, and that time, Roas there avoids the demo, and Falcons actually dropped the ball, but G2 respect it completely, and the demo puts him right in the spot. Beast Mode will carry it out. That just shows you the respect Falcons have in this series and how G2 have been struggling.
I did talk about this, exactly what you were just making mention to yesterday with Cole on broadcast, how the Falcons can become so quickly adaptive, but also aware of any patterns that a team against them starts to try and place out onto the field. Once you do it twice, they anticipate it to be coming in a 3rd time. So anytime G2 has tried to do any sort of a play on them more than 2 times, Falcons immediately become ready for it. So it's forcing G2 to become so much more creative offensively to get past the Falcons defense, and you can see it with the passes coming through. Back pass over to Daniel, and a huge open clear from TRK almost into the net, but Beast Mode catches it.
Daniel received that pass into the corner. You had Falcons completely stacked, and Killers, he is absolutely chewing them up. Thanks to Roas and TRK getting that flash out. Roas gets the demo on Daniel, and Falcons are absolutely crushing G2.
G2, you would think, would anticipate these demos a little bit more, but it is so hard to know where and when they are coming. Falcons looking incredibly strong and clean. G2 just trying to catch up and match the pace, but they are falling behind. Killers all the way up. Falcons go 2-0.
It almost feels chalked at this point. Atomic came up expecting Daniel to play the ball. Daniel goes off of it. Killers is acting like Daniel's not even there. He just plays it. Atomic is now completely out of position. And where's Beast Mode? Nowhere. I mean, this is crazy. This should not be this easy for Falcons. It should not. There's the demos. Do G2 have this? Air dribble pump, but you can't cringe on them either.
Nope, you can't. I mean, realistically, G2 just haven't even been able to follow up their own demos. You saw a second person trying to attempt to finish it, and here it comes again. Atomic trying to lead the bump play. You're just not fast enough. Falcons have outpaced G2 in every which way possible on the field, forcing it to become harder and harder for G2 to catch up. And at this point, G2, they are grasping at straws. They're missing the ball now.
Beast Mode, he went for the bump on Roas. They don't have any confidence they're getting these challenges.
It's all gone.
They're just trying for bumps every time, and Falcons, they're like Neo. Easy dodges. They can slow down time, apparently, just avoiding everything.
That might be a before 2001 reference for some people.
It might be actually at 2001. Like, that might be the year. Someone fact check me there. Oh my goodness.
Well, they're all
what a save.
Y'all fact check. We're gonna watch and see if G2 can actually catch up. Ruas said no. You guys have time to keep looking these things up. Killers back up to the backboard. Atomic, at least this time, was able to get the read. Ruas infield pass over to TRK. And Falcons 3-0.
Oh my God, you're kicking the dirt in their face at this point. Beast Mode takes the widest angle possible. Atomic doesn't get the pass out to him, and that pass coming back from the corner from Roas, that was ridiculous. And then the shot to the right side. I mean, what are you supposed to do if you're G2? That last play they had on offense, that was the best they had looked. They opened it up with a demo. They had the shot, and guess what? Roas, one of the best defenders in the world, if not the best defender in the world, is there to shut you down. Killers forcing them out, and Falcons, are truly showing you right now why they are one of the favorites of this tournament and why they just may be headed to the playoffs after 90 seconds.
A minute 27 to go. G2 at a 3-goal deficit and potentially no more wins in the series. Falcons, as the day and the weekend goes on, have only gotten stronger. Killers over to himself, tries to redirect this one as an infield, and G2 finally can catch this one.
Roas happy to just stop, force Daniel to beat him to the punch. He does. Beast mode playing tight. He's got to avoid Roas on his way. Atomic clears the path with a demo, but there is Roas again with a perfect 50-50. Atomic has to hurry back and avoid TRK and avoid more flying Falcons as it comes right back, and they miss the ball! Atomic and Daniel get tied up, and it's a freewheeling goal for TRK!
Team Falcons are them in the London Major. They have made the top of the top teams around the world look silly.
Took down BDS, and they're making G2 look a little lesser than we were expecting. And, you know, I can't give all the credit to Falcons. I don't think G2 have played too well in this series. I think it started poorly, and it got worse. And the Falcons, though, they look great, and that's the problem. That's why it's 4-0 against what Gibbs was saying, the best defense. And G2 has been non-existent. The touch quality hasn't been there. The rotations have not been there. They straight up whiffed the shot just a few seconds ago. And Falcons, absolutely stellar performance throughout Swiss. That one goes in. Why not? You've earned it. A top 8 appearance, another playoff shot at a bid for a major championship.
Yesterday, Falcons go 7-0 on SSG. Today, 5-0 on G2 in Game 3. Looking to go 3-0 in the Swiss stage. 4 seconds away
Put it
from
in.
claiming playoffs. Killers, one more to keep it going. Team Falcons, they have demanded respect from the world, but not only that, they have officially earned it from every single person.
I mean, if you were still doubting Falcons, you certainly can't now, all right? If you're doing that, look, you're waffling, all right? But there are no waffles. Falcons absolutely pancaked G2 in this series. On to the playoffs. G2 will have to go to round 4 and try again. And I gotta say, I wouldn't want to play G2 after that. I know they're gonna be pretty upset about how they performed. And I don't know, an angry beast mode is not something I would want to contend with. But man, Falcons, Killers, MVP of that series. Absolutely insane stuff. So impressed with him. He's so good at the game. I love watching this team play. They were absolutely insane. I'm like dancing around over here. It's great stuff.
Oh my goodness, it is so much fun to watch this Falcons team right now. They look so good, and it's like I made mention to before. As every series goes on, they seemingly get better and better. They adapt faster and faster to these teams. You made mention to it. They notice the patterns so much quicker that no one can seem to catch up to them right now. It is a valid thing to have them in your top 4, your top 2. Some people might even want them to win the whole thing overall, but Falcons are here for revenge on their name from Copenhagen.